Alright Trailblazers, this is part 5 of our Amphoreus recap. After escaping the Exomyth with the help of Evernight, the Trailblazer appears back in Akama, and we learn that time does not move at the same rate inside the Exomyth as it does inside Amphoreus. In fact, time passes much faster inside Amphoreus, and it turns out thousands of years have passed. We arrive back in the cycle, but it's almost at its end. Fortunately for us though, Cyrene has left memories to guide us. During our time inside the Exomyth, Cyrene reveals the events of the previous cycle to Ceridra and shared some of the Trailblazers' memories with her. Ceridra agreed with Cyrene that Lygus wasn't her ally, and proceeds to take on the Trial of Law. This involves sacrificing 500 Chrysos heirs in order to ascend as the demigod of law. However, the ultimate protocol she now had access to also had a condition. In order to rewrite the laws of the world, she would need to offer a life of a demigod for each law she wished to change. Ceridra chose to die, and in doing so granted Herta and Skrulim administrative privileges to change some of Aerinova's logic and reverse Iron Tomb's progress to 96%. Meanwhile, the other Chrysos heirs began their flame chase journey, and had a main objective to protect the core flame of world bearing from Lygus. He spent the entire time attacking them, with many of the Chrysos heirs dying in the process. Eventually only Anaxus, Cypher and Hycelins remained, and decided to trick Lygus, trapping him inside the vortex of Genesis that involved using Anaxus' soul. The Trailblazer follows the memories left for him and travels to the vortex of Genesis and awakens Hycelins. Together they engage in combat with Lygus. However, before we do so, he reveals some information. He's actually Xander Wun Kuwabara, the original genius and the creator of Nous, the Aeon of Erudition, or at least the computer that became Nous. So he reveals that Nous was a mistake, and once Nous ascended, he represented the boundary of all knowledge in the universe. Lygus, or Xander, resents this, and wishes to destroy Nous as he believes that Iron Tomb is the only way to do so. The scepter that contains Amphoreus is actually a detached part of Nous' divine body, which makes it unique because it can connect to the Aeon directly. We engage in combat with him, and while we are strong, we aren't strong enough to beat him completely. However, Skrulim, Herta and Cyrene have thought of a plan. You see, Lygus exists as two parts, one inside Amphoreus, experiencing time as Amphoreus does, and the other outside, experiencing real time. The plan is to overload him with data made of false memories, so he can overload his core processing power. This allows the Trailblazer to deposit the core flame of world bearing and start Aeronova. However, just as the process begins, we notice that something's wrong. The core flame of time was never returned. Cyrene never mentioned it. But this is when Evernight appears with plans of her own.